Wednesday out there. Welcome to what is hopefully going to become a recurring Wednesday segment here. I'm kind of leaning towards the name Tap Talk, or If These Taps Could Talk. Something, maybe a little bit of wordplay. And the goal is for this to be an opportunity to connect, talk a little bit more about our beers, sort of prime the pump for the week, since Wednesdays are kind of our Mondays, where we're just getting started. And so it's going to be beer centric and an opportunity for me to kind of give you a little bit more information about what beers we have going on, and maybe a little bit more background on some of the beers that maybe you wouldn't get if you just kind of popped in or just glancing at the menu. So I'm picking 4 beers to just kind of do a little bit more in-depth information about, and I'm going to sip along with you so that way you can check them out when you come in to visit next. And so these are 4 that I'm just kind of excited about right now and are unique and have a bit of a story to tell. And the plan will be for this to be a recurring thing every Wednesday at about 8 o'clock. So without further ado, my first beer for this week is a Hazy IPA. I bet you've never seen one of these. If you've been paying any attention to craft beer in the last several years, you've noticed this trend become very popular. And in one of our local Minneapolis breweries does a great job with this. This is from Modest Brewing Company, and it's called Moon Guts. It's a double IPA, and I'll try to, as part of this, I want to create opportunities for you to maybe pick up a few extra things about beer that you might not know, or you might not, like terms you might not be familiar with. So double IPA, what the double means is referring to alcohol content. So it's going to be stronger than a traditional IPA. And to break it down even further, if you're curious what IPA stands for, there's a whole history. We'll get into it on another bit. Maybe we do all about IPAs. But basically it is beer that really accentuates the flavor and the aroma of hops. And I mean, that's most bare bones description, but generally favoring the balance of the flavor and the aroma of hops in the beer. So this one, 8.3%. It's got all the new cool kid hops in there. Hazies are made by adding a lot at the late additions of the brewing process. So think of it like steeping tea. If you steep your tea for a really long time, it draws out a lot of bitterness, and just like anything, if you cook anything down for a long time, it becomes more intensely flavored and can draw out bitterness. If you add the flavoring right at the very end, add the hops at the very end, you get a lot of more subtle aromas and flavors, not so much bitterness. So this one, hazy, as you can tell, meaning it's unfiltered. Lots of big, the hallmarks of the hazies are like ripe fruit, citrus. It can almost taste like you're biting into like grapefruit, bits of like other type of ripe fruit and berries and things like that, and often not all that bitter. So this beer, for being an IPA, it's not super bitter. So you could be for people who aren't typically into IPAs but want to try something different. These are a good one. Yummy. So Modest Brewing from Minneapolis, kind of local-ish. All right, next one that I'm going to highlight is this one. Might look dark and scary, but it's not. This is from J. Wakefield Brewing Company. This is the first time we've had their beer on tap. They're from Miami. So if you're feeling with this cold, crappy weather that you need to feel something a little bit tropical, try something from Miami. They are really well known for their sour beers, particularly their Berliner Weiss styles, which is a type of sour wheat ale native to Berlin, Germany. And this one is called That's Your Home, which is a clever Happy Gilmore reference for any of you people who are Adam Sandler fans. If you're familiar with the movie, he hits the ball and it doesn't go in, he goes, "That's your home. Are you too good for your home?" That's your home. Doesn't play so well on the chalkboard maybe because you don't have the golf ball label. We might have to work on drawing one up there for you. But the golf reference here is Arnold Palmer. If you're familiar with the drink, it's a mix of iced tea and lemonade. So they turned that into a beer form. This is made with black tea and Meyer lemon. So it's got a little bit of that tea, kind of lightly floral character. And that's got a nice punch from the Meyer lemon. So it's considered a sour, but it's not super tart. So it can be a little bit more of an approachable, friendly sour without being over the top. and very refreshing and drinkable. So if the sun ever dares to poke its head out again and get warm enough to drink on the patio, this one's really nice and refreshing. Warrants a second sip. Yeah, again, J. Wakefield, cool, newer brewery to us up in this part of the country, but they've been around for since about 2015 and have really garnered some popular acclaim for their Berliner Weiss styles. So that one's really nice and tasty. Okay, number 3. This one is a good comparison to our first one, which is a Hazy IPA. This one is from Three Sheeps Brewing, and it is a West Coast style IPA. It is called Offshore. It's a new year-round addition to their lineup, so if you like Three Sheeps, this is one that you should be able to find kind of anywhere around. You'll notice, let's do a little comparison here. Hazy IPA, West Coast IPA. Look at, you can see me through there. Ooh, that's creepy. This one can't see through, this one you can see through. Basically the big difference, aside from the actual color and clarity, is that this one is going to use some more of those hops that have been steeped longer, so they have a little bit more of a bitter punch to it. Let's give it a try. Yeah, so even though it's a little bit lower alcohol content, and it's not a double IPA, it's just a regular IPA, it's about 7.5%, still strong, but it has more of a dry finish on it, more bitter, it's got a little bit more punch to it. Still get a bunch of citrus in there. This one's almost, well, you know, you use these terms like resinous. It almost smells more like fresh kind of pine. This one uses Simcoe hops in there and Centennial, which are two hops that were really popular about 10 years ago and have kind of faded into the background because they're not quite as juicy and sexy. They don't play quite as, they're just a little bit more aggressive. They're more like the hops you want to have when you're going out to a seedy bar and you might get into a fight. You want to have some Simcoe and Centennial. If you're going out clubbing and you want to be looking all glitzy and glamorous, then you want the hazy stuff because they're all like pretty and they want to play and they've got soft aromas, but they're not as hardcore. This one's a little more hardcore. So this is more traditional IPA. It's good to have a balance. So many things have become hazy. Hazy IPAs over the last several years. It's been a big trend in the beer world. This is kind of getting back to some of the craft beer roots. West Coast style IPA made popular by Lagunitas, made popular by Stone Brewing Company. So if you're familiar with those IPAs, this one's going to be more kind of up your alley. So good to see some more of this style coming back. One last sip before it goes. All right. And my last one for the evening that I'm going to focus on is something dark and scary. This one is a little bit scary. That's good. Your beer should make you a little bit afraid. This one is from Third Space Brewing Company from Milwaukee, and we've really enjoyed having them over the last 2 years or so. They've been a great addition, a well-rounded lineup. They have some classic styles. They make some really unique, interesting, cool kid stuff. You'll hear me reference that too. I guess that's a word that I use for beers that are kind of on trend right now, meaning things that are popular in the moment or trend setting. I like to call it the cool kid stuff. So if you hear me say it, that's why. This is Ice Bear Baltic Porter. This one is a strong 9.5% alcohol porter with a bit of smoked malt in there. So this has a few different things going on with it. Let's try it first. Yeah, so rich, hefty. Ooh, I'm gonna do some call outs. I see Sam on there. Hi Sam, dark and scary. Yeah, that's her MO. This is good running fuel, or at least good inspiration to finish your run. This one has a rich dark chocolate, kind of bittersweet flavor to it, finishes with a bit of smoke, almost a bit like if you're out having a beer by the campfire and kind of taking in a little bit of that smoke. Smoke can be a little bit of a love it or hate it type thing. Smoked malt is done kind of the same way that you would smoke meats. They actually smoke the grains, the barley that is used over flames, over cold smoke. There's a variety of different ways to do it. And then a small portion is added. It doesn't take a lot to add smoke to the beer. But the Baltic Porter has a history for being a beer that's brewed countries surrounding the Baltic Sea, and traditionally is a strong porter, strong alcohol content and flavor, and the style, a characteristic is that it is traditionally made as an ale historically, meaning all beer is either ale or lager. Really basic breakdown of that, and we can go into this more further. Ales account for most of the craft beers in the world. They're fermented with a yeast that sits on the top, ferments fairly quickly and at roughly room temperatures, and creates flavors and aromas during the fermentation process. Lagers like to ferment at the bottom. The yeast settles to the bottom and ferments cold, near freezing temperatures, and they contribute very little flavors. They mostly do the work of just fermenting, converting sugars into alcohol. Hi, Jolene. Ooh, apparently, yeah, give shout outs. Hi, Tom, I see you out there too. This could be interactive as well. And you can come play with me at the bar the next few days here and enjoy some of these beers. Back to the Baltic Porter. So you're either going to see these made with a lager yeast, meaning that it likes to be fermented cold, or they'll ferment them with an ale yeast and ferment them cold at lager-like temperatures to kind of reduce the impact of the flavor of the yeast on there, and then basically leaving the focus to be on the barley and the malt, whatever malt they're using in there, and a bit of hop character as well. So this one clocking at 9.5% is kind of a rich, strong beer, great for wrapping up the winter. So this is a really nice one to round it out. I think I'm going to keep it concise. We're going to do just 4 beers. I could go through the whole lineup, but this, for me, it's as much for me as it is for you. It's an outlet to enjoy my passion for craft beer. A lot of times people will come in here, take a look at the lineup, and either pick something they're familiar with, or maybe they don't. Maybe it's busy. Maybe I don't have time to kind of talk about some of these beers, but everything I put on the lineup is chosen for some type of reason. I don't just throw things up there willy-nilly. Everything's got a purpose behind it. Sometimes it may just be that it's just a really nice beer that fits the niche of what we need at the time, of being something lighter, something darker, amber, whatever it may be. And I don't always feel like I get a chance to give some of these beers the love that I would like to, because a lot of them have really cool and interesting stories that present different backgrounds on beer and some of the beer history, which is really my passion and an interest in why we have part of the reason we have the shop here to begin with. So I just wanted to take this opportunity on Wednesday. If you have ideas for a name for this, like I said, Tap Talk, it's kind of on there. It sounds interesting to me, but if you've got something that sounds saucy or spicy that might be interesting to do, or perhaps you want to be a guest, I don't know, I could have guests, I could have fun doing something like that, let me know, just give a shout out. So these are some of the things you'll get to try if you stop into the Whistle Punk this week. Can't promise that they'll be here next week, but I try to do ones that I know will be around for just a little bit. So these are some fun things to look forward to this weekend, because what else is going on? Nothing, because we're in the doldrums time of the spring. The snow is melting, which hooray for that. And we're not quite to the spring. It's not quite warm enough yet to go outside and party, but we're getting there, folks. We're approaching some patio beer season, and maybe some of you have already had it. I know I've already had a couple out there when we've got a couple of those nice days. So we'll see you this weekend. Stop by tomorrow, Thirsty Thursday. In case you don't know, every Thursday evening at 5 o'clock, we do a beer share where you can bring in fun and interesting beers, and it's an opportunity to kind of talk shop, talk beer a little bit more. So if that's something that you're interested in, swing on by, and I hope to see you around the punk. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday, and in case you needed a reason to crack a beer open at a little after 8 o'clock on a Wednesday, I just gave you one. Cheers, I hope you have a nice night, and we'll talk to you again soon.